Well, welcome everyone. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Ken Underhill. Many people know me for my work with online courses. So I've got trained over 2 million people, both in business, but predominantly around cybersecurity related courses, things like hacking, forensics, etc. Multi-award winning. I've got another award I think I recently won as well in the cybersecurity industry, hold a graduate degree in cybersecurity information assurance. I'm also a certified funnel design hacker. Been working online business stuff for a number of years and kind of seen it all, right? Especially around online courses. So today's show is going to be around monetizing your knowledge online. I'm going to talk through some of the things that I see people making mistakes on, and I'll kind of give you my insight, at least from my experience, of what works and sort of the way to do things. And if you don't want to listen to that and you want to try it yourself, that's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. Why should you do, before we get into like some of the actual structure of things, why should you actually even worry about monetizing your knowledge? Let's say you own a business out there, you got a brick and mortar business pre-COVID, right? We've obviously seen with a pandemic what can happen in your business. And so we want to create businesses out there that we can separate ourselves from. And what I mean by that is we need businesses that make money while we sleep, while we travel with our families. Basically we need to separate ourselves, right? We need to be able to exit the business. Even if we're working on the business still, we need to be able to exit ourselves from the business. Number one, makes your business more valuable. And number two, it gives you that freedom, right? Because we all, generally speaking, started a business to control our time instead of us having some corporate America boss control our time, right? So that was one of the driving factors for most people, is to actually learn to control your time. And so that's why we started businesses. We wanted to fulfill our dreams, our destiny, as well as free up our time and make money, right? I mean, who wants to have a business that makes no money? It's not really a business, right? It's just an expensive hobby at that point. So when we're talking about actually putting stuff online and creating online courses or coaching programs, the first place we need to start, if we have no idea what we're doing, is we need to make sure there's actually somebody that wants it, right? We need to make sure that there's actually a demand for the thing that we have an idea on. And social media has allowed us as business owners to get there easier, right? To get there faster. So we can really just ask people in our network, if I created this thing, would you buy it? Right. So one of the things I did recently, I've got a television show coming out, a cybersecurity show called Cyber Life. So one of the things I did is I polled my audience, because I had all these ideas in my head of, okay, the show could be this, it could cover this. Cybersecurity itself is an entire industry, right? There's hundreds and hundreds of different specializations you can do. Hacking that I do, forensics that I do, those are just very minute areas of the entire industry. So there's a lot of different areas in there. And so there's a lot of directions I could have taken the show with. And so instead of me trying to figure out exactly what I would want, I simply put a post up on LinkedIn as well as some on Facebook and just said, hey, I've got a cybersecurity show coming out. What do you want to see on it? Right? It was that simple. And people immediately, it's kind of weird, right? I'm going to back up a step. It's kind of weird that when we're in like school, right? Junior high, elementary, high school, most of us, right? There's always the few, but most of us hate tests, right? We hate answering questions. We hate exams. We just hate all that stuff. But the interesting thing is, when we're adults, we love taking quizzes. It's just so weird, right? That's why we respond on surveys. That's why we take little quizzes to figure out what celebrity we look like on Facebook and stuff. It's just a weird psychology thing. So I just polled my audience, right? And people immediately responded with their answers on exactly what they wanted to see. But I wasn't finished with them, right? I said, well, when would they want to see it, right? That's kind of the next step, right? With a TV show, what time should you choose? And so I asked them that, right? And so I kept doing surveys, and now, it's a matter of weeks before my show is going to launch. Now I know exactly what people want, right? I know exactly what time they want to watch it, how they're going to consume it, because some people are not going to watch it live. And then I also know who my avatars are, because I looked at all the people that responded to my post. That shows me who's really interested in my show and who's going to be an engaged audience initially. And then I just identify the characteristics of those individuals that matched with the others, right? So that's what we need to do. The first thing we need to do is actually validate the marketplace. So when you're thinking through creating an online course or creating a coaching program or anything, the first thing that you want to do is leverage the power of social media. Now, let's say that you don't actually have a following or anything right now. You can also go into existing groups like on Facebook, for example, around your problem. So let's say, for example, that my problem is teaching people how to do their hair, right? I'm not a hairstylist, but let's say I'm trying to teach people how to do their hair because I own a hair salon. COVID just hit, right? Or COVID's still going on, and my business is down. So I need to figure out what I can do to kind of share my knowledge and at the same time bring in money to my business so I can feed my family and pay my employees, et cetera. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find different hair groups on Facebook. Now, some of these might be around interest around hair, like people that are interested in beauty products and hair and makeup and all that stuff. But there's another market there that I can immediately think of that's maybe people suffering from medical conditions around hair, right? Things like alopecia, or maybe they've got cancer and they had to get their head shaved, as part of the chemo treatment, or their hair fell out. So we want to always try to think through what is the actual problem we're solving, right? When we're thinking through, is this a valid idea? We need to think through what is the actual problem that we're solving. If we can't think of the problem, right? If there's not a problem to solve, then it's not going to sell. No matter, unless you've got like Tony Robbins' marketing budget, it's not going to sell, right? People buy that just because they know, like, and trust him. You need to really focus on what is the actual problem and validate that other people have the problem. I'll give you an example. When I worked as a nurse, I invented this pediatric medical device, and I created it because I had a problem, right? And I created this device, and it solved the problem that I had. But when I went through the patent process and when I started pitching this to companies, what I realized was, and I started doing the market research, I realized that, yes, other people had the problem, but it wasn't a big enough problem where they would pull out the wallet, right? There was a problem. People acknowledged this problem, but there were other solutions on the market that basically, they didn't do the exact same thing, but they did similar enough things to where people felt like their problem was solved already, right? So there wasn't a burning desire to get this problem solved. So it just wasn't a very viable idea, right? And had I done the proper market research and everything, I would not have spent all that money to, ultimately not make a huge amount of money, right? So that's why I'm saying you need to validate the problem that you're solving and make sure other people actually have it. The other advantage of joining in kind of stalking groups like that to some extent and doing your market research is you may see problems that you hadn't thought of, right? That nobody's solving. And those might be a better problem to solve for your online course or for your coaching program. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And this is from my experience. And again, I've trained over 2 million people. My courses have made over 20 million across the board. And so when I say this, I'm saying it from experience, right? It doesn't matter how fancy your slides are, if you've got the beautiful logo, People don't care about that, right? The only time that matters is if you're trying to sell to corporations because they have certain standards for branding, et cetera, that they have to meet. When you're selling to the consumer base, so the B2C side, and which is the vast majority of online course sales that you're going to get out there, they don't care. It's about the results. So if I can just come on a video like this, right? And let's say I come on 10 of these, and that's going to be a coaching program. And if I've got this, green sheet behind me, which I use for my green screen, none of that stuff matters if I can show you how to go from a $0 to $1 million in your business in less than a year. And I take you through a step-by-step process, right? You're not going to care. Now, you may bring it up, right? You may be like, your background, and, the sheet's wrinkly a little bit. And, you may do those little things and you may talk about the aesthetics. But at the end of the day, if I say, well, I'm going to keep this green sheet, but what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to take you from a $0 to $1 million in less than a year in your business, guaranteed. Honestly, ask yourself right now, would I care about the green sheet behind him? Would I care that it's not PowerPoint slides or that if there are slides, they're ugly? Would I care if they're not pretty slides? The reality is, if someone cares about those things and they're a customer, they're not a good customer, right? And I'm saying that with all love, but the reality from my experience is that they're just going to be problematic. They're not going to actually take the effort, put in the action, put in the work to get the results. So they're going to end up complaining, oh, it doesn't work for me, blah, blah, blah. And I've had that where people don't watch any videos of a course, right? And then they complain that they didn't get the end result. Well, of course not, right? You didn't put in any work. So validate your idea and make sure that you're not focused too much on aesthetics. Focus more on the results. What are the actual results that you can give for people? And so when we talk about results, there's a simple way that I create basically any offer. This is across the board, any type of offer. I always need to figure out these kind of certain things, right? So I need to figure out who I help, right? What I do for them, like what kind of result do I actually get them? And then I need to figure out also what kind of thing don't they like to do, right? Or what are they trying to avoid doing? And then sort of the end of that is just simply using my product or my coaching or, my solution, right? That's kind of the end of that, And so Dan Henry, who's an internet marketer and very successful man, he has this thing called what he calls RMS statement, right? Refined marketing statement. You've probably seen other people talk about it, but basically it kind of goes like this, right? Like I help these people do this thing, right? Get this result without this thing that they hate, and by using my program or my coaching or whatever, right? So just kind of off the top of my head, let's just talk about real estate agents, right? So I help real estate agents. We could you could niche that down more, right? I help Houston, where I'm located. I help Houston real estate agents create more revenue or generate more revenue or increase sales by 20% without spending thousands of dollars on Facebook ads, by using my program on LinkedIn brand building, right? Or something. But you get the idea, right? You have to be very clear. So when you create a statement like that, or you're thinking about creating an offer, you want to make it so dumb, right? You want to dumb it down so much, right? Don't use terminology from your industry or anything. Like, make it so dumb that if you walked up to a little kid or somebody, random person on the street right now, and they say, what do you do? And you say, I help blank do blank without blank, by using blank. Even if they don't know anything about that, you want them to be able to understand what you do, right? So the real estate example, I help real estate agents make more money, generate more revenue without spending thousands of dollars on Facebook ads, by using my super LinkedIn program, right? Anybody on the street, even if they don't know what Facebook is, right? They know that Facebook, there's some kind of ads, and they know that you're talking about this thing, LinkedIn is what you teach people to use instead. They don't know anything else, right? But when they go tell somebody about it, they're going to be like, oh yeah, they help real estate agents. I know you're a real estate agent, Susie. They help real estate agents and they help them make more money. And they do it by, they said, preventing you from spending a lot of money on Facebook ads, and by using this thing called LinkedIn. Like, they don't have to get it perfect, but they're doing free marketing for you, right? They're out there, and that's what you want, right? Not saying that everyone's going to go market for you, but you want it so dumb, right? So dumbed down that it makes it easy for anyone to understand. Because if you don't do it that way, and you have some complicated, superfragilisticexpialidocious type of offer, nobody's going to buy from you. And you're going to be thinking, well, maybe it's my funnel, right? Maybe it's not beautiful enough. My web pages aren't beautiful enough. Maybe it's my email sequence, right? Maybe afterwards I send them emails and that's not the right stuff. Maybe it's a copy of my page. But reality is, it's your offer. It's because you haven't dumbed it down enough and actually shown people what is the actual result I get, right? So the more specific you can become, the more specific on your avatar, number one, more specific you can become on the actual result, right? So even the example I gave of making more money or generating more revenue, like that's okay to start with. But once I start working with real estate agents and I give them I get them the results, I need to know those numbers. I need to ask them specifically of my clients, all right, did you go, like what percent sales increase did you see, right? Or how many more leads did you get? And they should know those numbers, right? And then I take that and I refine that even more. And so now it becomes, I help Houston real estate agents increase sales by 20% without spending thousands of dollars on Facebook ads by using my Master the LinkedIn program or so, whatever. But you get the idea, right? So it's not a set in stone thing, but you have to get it as close as possible and really niche it down. The other thing I want to talk about is, okay, let's say we've identified there's a problem. We've found our market. We know that people are looking to buy this thing, and we've created our awesome offer, and people fully understand what it's about. Before I build anything online, I'm selling it first, right? Don't build this course and assume that people are going to buy it just because you're market research. Create a beta program. So, and the advantage of that is because you're not going to know every possible question that someone is going to ask, right? Like I'm telling you right now, I still get questions on a hacking course I put out 2 years ago that's got over 1 million students. And I still get questions that I never thought of answering because students get all sorts of, granted, these are technical errors and stuff, but you just never know, right? You never know what kind of questions you're going to get. So start with a beta group. And so what you do is you figure out the pricing for your program, right? So we'll just go with a coaching program so we can charge a little more money for this example. So I've identified, let's just use a real estate. That's the easiest thing. We've been talking about that. So I went in Facebook groups where realtors hung out, wherever those are. And I identified that a problem a lot of them talked about is that once they started, Facebook ads worked, but they started spending thousands of dollars to be able to still bring in the same amount of leads and get the same amount of sales in their business. And so I said, well, hey, I'm really good on LinkedIn, right? And I am, by the way. That's where predominant my revenue deals come from. But anyways, I digress. But hey, I figured out that I'm good on LinkedIn. Well, maybe I can show them how to generate leads from LinkedIn, right? So even if I haven't done it yet for a real estate agent, I know that I could create an offer around it, and I can have that beta group where I can actually get the results for people, right? And then I can sell it as a higher ticket type of program. So as an example, I go in the Facebook groups, I identify the problem, I identify who the target audience is, and I say, well, right now I'm not trying to sell to every real estate agent, right? That you can't sell to everybody. If you say that, you're not a real business owner. But I know that I can niche down in like my local area, and I know by doing that and I get results there, then I can expand out elsewhere with a more massive type of program. And so I get the research, I figure out who the avatars are. I create a Facebook group to collect them in, right? So I create some kind of a, little checklist, cheat sheet, or some kind of free resources, right, that can live in that group. Or maybe I just do videos in that group, right, that talk them through ways to optimize their Facebook ads or ways to improve their LinkedIn profile, right? Just give them some nuggets of gold and aggregate them all in this group, right? Then from there, I say, hey, if I created something, a program or coaching program or something to show you how to actually use LinkedIn to get leads in your real estate business for free, would you be interested in, right? And just poll the audience, right? Just like we talked about before, poll the audience. And some people won't respond. Other people say yes, and I always give a call to action. I'll be like, tell me, just type below, I'm in, right? Type below, I'm in. So in fact, those of you watching, just type below in the comments, I'm in, right? Just so you can practice that. So just get them to interact in some way. Once people say I'm in or something similar on that post, message them directly and then say, hey, I noticed you said that you're in. Let's set up a quick call this week. I want to tell you more about the program, right? You can try to sell them via messages, but people typically will feel more pressure psychologically to buy from you when they're on the phone with you, right? It's a different thing, right? It's eventually you can sell it fully automated, but initially it's easier to sell a beta group by getting on the phone with someone. And these are 15, 20-minute phone calls, right? You could even charge if you wanted to. I probably wouldn't for something like that because you want to be able to charge for the beta. You want them to actually sign up for it. And so for beta pricing on a coaching, depending on how much you're doing, it could run anywhere from $297 to $497, right? You might be able to charge a little more on a beta, but you may get some pushback, et cetera. I typically will go from like $497 into the range of $997 because for me, I like to go a little higher ticket almost right off the bat. Because if the beta works out, and let's just say it doesn't, let's say nobody signs up for it, at least you know, right? At least you know nobody's going to buy that, and you can move on to a different offer and try that one instead. But that way you didn't spend months creating slides and getting all these software tools and all this stuff and building funnels. And why do all that stuff? Like test it first, sell it first, then you can worry about making it pretty and aesthetically pleasing and all that later on. So in our example, the pricing structure, and people struggle with this a little bit as well. Beta group, generally speaking, depending on the offer, right? So let's say that the example of real estate, like I'm going to bring more money in your business, right? So I can charge you probably realistically a real estate agent, I can charge you $997 for a beta program and say it's normally $3,000, right? I could probably charge that and still get people to sign up. I might be smarter though to charge people $497 or even $297 to just be able to get results for people in that group, right? And then raise the prices later, right? So there's certain ways you have to know your audience pretty well, but the pricing generally anywhere from $297 to $997 for a beta group, right? Don't charge $50 for a beta group. You're going to get a bunch of jerks in there. This is from my experience. You're going to get a bunch of jerks in there that don't do anything. You're just going to waste your time. Plus for $50, really, like, do you really want to work really hard for $50? I don't. That's nothing to me, right? So charge, a little closer to what you should, right? And then once you've got results for that group, now you can make it a higher ticket item, right? And so when I talk about high ticket and people get confused on this, generally speaking, for me, a higher ticket thing is anywhere from 3,000 and above, right? Now, real quick, why should you do high ticket and not a bunch of $10 things, right? Because I've done both. I've done courses across the board, right? I've had $10 courses on platforms like Udemy, right? And I can tell you from my experience, the vast majority of students, and I say this with love, but the vast majority of students are a pain in your butt. Vast majority. I've had people, I created some certification preps, and these certifications cost like $2,000 to go get, right? With the voucher and all that stuff, and the vendor's training program. And people taking this $10 just practice test course were getting mad at me because I didn't give them, a $2,000 program plus a voucher for I was like, at first I was cordial, right? And then I was like, started sending messages. I was like, did you really, like, you have to call people out on it sometimes, right? Did you really think that you were going to get like $2,000 to $3,000 worth of stuff that I was going to pay for that out of pocket and you're going to pay me $10? Like, does that make any sense to you? Right? Of course it doesn't, right? When people think about that, like, oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But you deal with a lot of that when you sell your course for lower. The other thing that I'll say, and why I do a lot of high ticket these days, is because you can't really give people value, right? If I sell a course for a low price, $10, or let's say $100, I can only take so many people in that, right? I can't realistically have 10,000 people on a Zoom call, right? And try to effectively give them value. But if I charge everybody $10,000, right? And I just take 10 people on that Zoom call, I'm going to make $100,000, right? And, minus expenses, whatever. And then I'm going to be able to give a lot of value to those people. I'm going to be able to get on one-on-one calls with them, all these things, right? So they're going to get really, really good results. So you're really doing your student base or your customer base a disservice if you're charging low ticket. Now, does that mean that you have no offers that are low ticket that can help someone that's, they can't afford your high ticket? Of course not, right? I've got a gamut of offers, right? But you need to have high ticket if you're going to be doing this online stuff. There's no way to survive. I can tell you right now, because a lot of people that started out when I started out, I don't know where they're at, right? They're not there. So for you to survive, you have to have some kind of high ticket offer. That could be a coaching program where it's a set period of time. It could just be a group coaching that you run all the time. And it's just, you call it your mastermind or something, right? You charge people $3,000 one time. They join your mastermind. They can join these group calls. They can look at all the recordings of the previous group calls, all these things, right? And so you have to have both. The low ticket is for people that maybe just want to kind of see, like kind of test you out. And low ticket could really be, you could create one video. Like let's use the real estate LinkedIn thing as an example. I could create a video or maybe two videos that talk about how to set up your LinkedIn profile, right? Like, the key areas that you need as a business owner. Talk about the sort of the way to market yourself with posting on LinkedIn and how to not have to do it 50,000 times a day, right? You don't need to post all the time. I don't post every single day. And you don't need to do that because you just need to know your audience and what they're actually looking for. And when you do it like that, they'll hunt you down, right? It's farming and not hunting. And so you could just create videos like that, a couple of videos. I could sell it low ticket for $50, right? Or $100. People get immense value from that, just learning about it, right? I don't have to be there showing them how. I'm just on video. I walk them through it real quick. And then if they want more, then I sell them on my beta coaching, right? And if they want more than that, I sell them on my high ticket, whatever. But that way they can start building that know, like, and trust that you hear all the gurus talking about, that know, like, and trust with your audience. You can start building that. So you want to have a gamut of offerings when you're doing stuff online. There's a lot of ways to do it, right? You could have single time low ticket payments. You could have a monthly subscription that gives them access. A popular, so let's talk price points again real quick. If you're going to do a monthly subscription, if you're selling to the consumer base, the consumer market is extremely volatile for online courses. And so number one, you're going to notice probably around the springtime, usually sales will go down significantly, usually around 30 to 40% at least. But you'll make that up usually August, and then also another push around November, because people are starting to say, I hate my job, I want to change jobs next year. So those are kind of the two parts, like late summer and then also late fall, early winter. Those are kind of the two, like, making a lot of money parts of an online course business. If again, you're selling low ticket and selling to the consumer market. If you're selling high ticket, you've got cash flow year round, right? Because the people that can afford to pay you 10, 20, 30 grand, or even $3,000, they're going to be coming year round they find your program, they're going to pay for it, et cetera. But low ticket stuff, it's usually pretty volatile those times of the year. But going to the pricing, you can be flexible. If you're going to do monthly pricing, anywhere from, and it really depends on what you're giving them, right? If you're offering them a lot of course content, a lot of different things, you could probably get up, you could charge them $50 to $100 a month. If you're only offering them kind of like a single course on a monthly, you're probably going to have to do like $7 to $27, maybe $37 if it's a really valuable thing. But that's just what the marketplace is used to, right? And you have to be mindful of that. And that's why I say also have high ticket, right? Because you don't want to be stuck in that pricing war. You don't want to be stuck in that, because if people are paying you $7, I mean, really, do you really think you're going to be able to go buy a yacht or whatever your dream is? You're not. I can tell you, you're not, right? It's not going to happen. Plus, you're going to have a lot of complaints and, what about this? What about that? A lot of energy vampires, right? So really, if you're going to do a low ticket offering like that on a subscription type of thing, you really should be focused on something that can be automated, right? So as an example, we talked about the real estate, beta coaching thing, whatever. What I would do in that situation, I would literally just record those sessions, and that would be my low ticket, right? Maybe I don't give away all the sessions, but I just say, hey, look, for $7 a month or $27 a month, you'll get access to the recording. So as long as you keep paying every month, you'll be able to look at the recordings. And as we do more programs, we'll tuck the recordings in there for you as well. But that's all you get. You don't get support. You can't ask me a question. That's it. right? That's all you get. Maybe you get a couple worksheets or something, but it needs to be automated. If you're going to go low ticket like that, it has to be an automated thing. You should not be doing lives whatsoever. Your time is valuable. You need to understand your time is valuable. So you should not be doing live videos or anything. It's recorded. Low ticket stuff like that is a recording, and you give people the recording. You absolutely do not. You can do what you want, but I'm telling you from experience, you absolutely do not want to incorporate live things in that. Just give them recordings and save your live stuff for people paying you more money, because that way you can give them more results. You don't want 1,000 people on a phone call. You want a small number of people that are paying you more money so you can really focus. The other thing that high ticket allows you to do is it allows you to actually go ahead and invest in a lot of the technology that you need to really make it a super awesome thing, right? A super awesome results type of thing. As an example, I invest a lot in technology. I look for the latest software, like for example, with funnels, right? Like there's a lot of ugly software out there, right? That you can build in that's cheap. There's a lot of autoresponders that also offer, like GetResponse, for example, offers a simple funnel builder, right? It's extremely ugly, extremely cheap. It doesn't offer you the sustainability, in my opinion, of what something else could do. Now, there's another one I use a lot called ClickFunnels, and I'm actually migrating away from them because I found another one that I've been testing out called DropFunnels. And so once I've thoroughly tested DropFunnels and proved it works, well, it's about half the price of ClickFunnels. So I'm always evolving with my technology, right? Because I want to deliver the best value for clients that trust me to build their funnels and stuff for them. And I'm saying that because I want you to understand that when you charge high ticket, when you charge higher ticket, you then have the capital to explore, right? You have the capital to explore in your business and try different things out. And let's say, I spent money on software earlier this year that, I spent the money on it and I was like, that's not going to work out, but I already paid for it, right? So I used it until the license expired, but it allows you to experiment, right? When you have cash flow in your business, it allows you to experiment. And the other thing I'll say on the cash flow is that the online course stuff or online coaching, it's cash flow. That's all this is, right? You're generating cash flow in your business. I have a business with extremely low overhead because everything's virtual, right? My biggest expenses are software because I keep testing and trying to get the best experience for my clients, the best results for my clients. And so, that's my biggest expense. But on a month-to-month basis, unless I'm actually, investing in more software at the time, my expenses are I think I'm under $300 now. I was about under $400 a month. But think about that. Like I charge high ticket, right? So I can close one deal and pay for months of my business, right? If I didn't want to make any money, if I just wanted to break even. That's it. Think about that for a second. Like, and take a step back and just think through your business for a second. Do you have that option? Like, do you have that ability in your business right now that if you decided, like, you know what, forget COVID that's going on right now. I'm just going to go to a desert island for 2 months and I don't care that I'm not taking on new clients. Like, do you have a business right now that is either number one, generating revenue while you're not doing anything actively in it? And number two, are you charging enough to where if you don't have, perpetual revenue coming in, are you charging enough to where you can take 2 months off and still come back to your business, right? And still have a profitable business? If the answer is no to either of those, you need to really listen to what I've said today and take this and really implement this and really consider implementing it in your business. Because at the end of the day, what's going to win out there in business is going to be people like me, right? People like me that have perpetual cash flow in their business, that are doing this stuff automated, that don't have to worry about where's the cash flow coming from, right? And then that can be picky with clients. So if you're not doing these things right now, you're going to be dead in the water because COVID especially pushed a lot of people online, a lot of business owners that creating courses and coaching and stuff. And the good news is you just watched this with me, right? And I've been doing this for over 5 or 6 years now, online courses. So I've been through the brutalness of it for you, right? And those people are starting from scratch. They're not watching this video, right? They're not getting these insights. They're going to be spinning their wheels on a low ticket offer for months saying this stuff doesn't work. They're going to be spending thousands of Facebook ads, not realizing that they can leverage LinkedIn for free and bring in people to their courses, depending on, what the offer is. they're going to be spinning their wheels on how to even create an offer, right? They're going to be taking all these programs, and I've seen this. I've been seeing them buy all these programs from the gurus, right? That get them all excited. Oh, you just need to create a, well, I won't say the name, but I'll use a different synonym. You just need to create a beautiful offer, right? Like, okay, you just need to create beautiful funnel pages. Well, okay, but like realistically, that's just aesthetics. And at the end of the day, it's results. It's not aesthetics, it's results. So if you're looking for results, if you're watching this and you're saying, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. He gave me a lot of information. I need help with this. Feel free to reach out to me. We can talk about what that looks like. You can reach out to me at my email address, ken@kandltech.com. So KANDLTECH.com, or just visit kandltech.com and you can jump on my calendar. You can also find me on Facebook as well as LinkedIn. You can send me a message and I can shoot you a link to get scheduled, and we can have a conversation about what exactly you're needing. So I'm going to open it up now for any Q&A at all. I'm not sure how many people we have on, but if there's any questions at all, feel free to ask those, and we'll try to get them answered here on the session for you. I remember I had seen a couple of things come through saying, you know, like great job and stuff like that. Definitely appreciate that. Always appreciate the feedback, even if it's hate mail. Right, I've gotten so much hate mail over the years. I'm kind of numb to it. But even if you have suggestions for improvement, etc., don't talk about my green sheet. I assure you, I don't care. Looks much better on Zoom with the little image. But so any questions at all? I'm not seeing anything, at least in the chat on my end. By the way, if I don't get to your question, or if I don't see any, or if you think of something later, feel free to come and just post it. And the lovely ladies at the Collaborative View, they'll go, you know, they'll be able to track that stuff down, and they'll let me know if there's any additional questions at all. So I'm not seeing any questions. Let me just see here. I'm going to take a quick peek, see if I see any additional questions at all. I'm not seeing anything right now, so I just want to make sure. And yeah, okay, cool. So I don't see any questions at all. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Like I said, though, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. If you're struggling with getting this stuff going in your business, or if you just want to, you know, I've got, you know, what we call kind of brainstorming sessions, you know, available on my calendar. Obviously, there's my time's valuable, just like I value your time. So there is, you know, fees involved with that. But sometimes you just need to be on the phone with someone that has been there, done that, right? There's so much value, and sometimes we kind of get in our own way, right? And we think that we know everything, or you know, that we don't need help. And sometimes we get on the phone with someone and they spark something in us, or an idea or something, and that's all we need, right? We just needed that one conversation to spark the idea. So don't hesitate to reach out. If you're thinking like, how do I get started? Don't hesitate to reach out. We can figure that out. So just repeating how to contact me real quick. My email address, ken@kandltech.com. So KEN@KANDLTECH.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Just search Ken Underhill. And I should pull up. You should be able to recognize who I am. You can also find me on Facebook. So you can go ahead and find me on Facebook as well. And like I said, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So that's one of the best ways to reach me. But you can also email, again, ken@kandltech.com. So want to thank everyone for joining the session today. Trust you found this information extremely valuable. You're literally getting years of experience. You're also getting years of finances, right? Because I've invested just since the time of online courses, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in learning this stuff, right? And perfecting it and actually practicing the craft. It's one thing to read a book or take an online course. It's another thing to actually go out there and put in the work to actually do this stuff, you know, and learn from experience, learn from all the hate mail, learn from, you know, pricing and all these things. So again, feel free to reach out to me, ken@kandltech.com. You can also find me again on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. So I thank everyone. Had a blast doing this session, and looking forward to the next one.